A 9-year-old boy walked into a biker bar and asked the most dangerous man in Detroit for help. "Protect my mom, please." His mother was being destroyed, harassed at work, terrorized by a neighbor, slowly losing her will to live. The police wouldn't help. She couldn't afford a lawyer, so her son did the only thing he could think of. He found someone scarier than the monsters. What happened next would shock an entire city. If this satisfies your heart, please like, comment, and follow. Lucas Thornton counted the days. 183 days since the first time he heard his mother cry in the bathroom with the water running so he wouldn't hear. He heard anyway. 183 days of watching her come home from work with red eyes and shaking hands, of listening to the neighbor upstairs pound on their door at midnight, demanding things Lucas didn't fully understand but knew were wrong, of seeing his mother, his strong, brave, incredible mother, shrink a little more each day. She thought he didn't notice. She was wrong. Lucas was 9 years old enough to understand that something terrible was happening, old enough to know that his mother was in danger, old enough to feel helpless and furious and desperate all at once, and old enough to do something about it. Rebecca Thornton had been a fighter her whole life. Single mother at 22, college degree earned at night while working 2 jobs, a position at Morrison & Associates that she had clawed her way into through sheer determination. She had survived everything life had thrown at her, until 6 months ago. It started small. Comments from her supervisor, Derek Morrison, the founder's son, untouchable, protected. Comments about her clothes, her body, her potential, if she was nicer to him. She reported it to HR. HR reported it to Derek's father. Derek's father promoted Derek to vice president. The comments became demands. The demands became threats. "Show up at my apartment tonight or find another job." Rebecca refused. She documented everything. She went to a lawyer. The lawyer took her money and then stopped returning calls. She later learned he golfed with Derek's father every Sunday. She went to the police, filed a report. A detective named Harris took her statement with bored eyes. "He said some inappropriate things at work. That's a civil matter, Mom. Nothing we can do. He threatened me. He said if I didn't—" "Did he touch you?" "No, but then there's no crime. Sorry." She found out later that Detective Harris was Derek Morrison's brother-in-law. The system was rigged. Every door she tried was locked. Every path led back to the same powerful family that wanted her destroyed. And then there was Victor, the neighbor upstairs, Victor Crane, a large man with small eyes who had started visiting 6 months ago. At first, just knocks on the door, asking for sugar, for milk, for things he clearly didn't need, excuses to see her, to get inside. Then the notes under her door, explicit, threatening, unsigned, but she knew. Then the late-night pounding, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., demanding she open up, calling her names through the door, describing what he would do to her if she didn't cooperate. She called the police. The same Detective Harris showed up. "Probably just a prank, ma'am. Kids in the building, maybe." "It's not kids. It's the man upstairs, Victor Crane." "You have proof?" "I hear his voice. I know it's him." "That's not proof. That's speculation." Harris smiled. "Maybe try being friendlier. Some men just don't know how to express interest." Rebecca wanted to scream, to throw something, to burn the whole rotten system to the ground. Instead, she went home, locked her door, turned on the bathroom fan, and cried. Lucas watched his mother disappear. Not physically. She was still there, still making his lunches, still helping with homework. But the light in her eyes was dying. The laugh that used to fill their apartment had gone silent. She was a ghost wearing his mother's face. He tried to help, made her breakfast in bed, drew her pictures, told her jokes he found online. Nothing worked. One night, he heard Victor pounding on their door, heard his mother's terrified breathing on the other side, heard the things Victor was saying, words Lucas knew were evil even if he didn't understand them all. He wanted to open the door, to fight, to protect her. But he was 9 years old, and Victor was a monster, and there was nothing he could do. Or was there? Lucas had seen the motorcycles. Everyone in the neighborhood had. The Hells Angels clubhouse was 6 blocks away. a building everyone avoided, filled with men everyone feared. His mother had warned him 100 times. Stay away from those men. They're dangerous. They're criminals. But the police were supposed to be good, and they did nothing. HR was supposed to help, and they made it worse. Lawyers were supposed to fight for justice, and they took money and disappeared. Maybe, Lucas thought, maybe dangerous was exactly what his mother needed. The Iron Horse Bar was not a place for children. It sat at the corner of Westfield and 9th, a squat brick building with blacked-out windows and a parking lot full of Harley-Davidsons. The sign above the door showed a skull wearing a helmet. Beneath it, smaller letters, "Members Only." Lucas stood across the street, heart hammering, trying to work up the courage to move. This was insane. He was 9 years old. He was about to walk into a biker bar and ask for help. His mother would kill him if she found out. But his mother was already dying. Slowly. From the inside. Lucas crossed the street. The door was heavier than he expected. He had to push with his whole body to open it. The smell hit him first. Beer and cigarettes and leather. Then the sound. Rock music from a jukebox. The crack of pool balls. Deep voices laughing. Then silence. Every head in the room turned toward him. Lucas had never seen so many terrifying men in one place. Beards and tattoos and scars. Leather vests covered in patches. Eyes that had seen things no child should imagine. He wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, but he thought of his mother crying in the bathroom. He stepped forward. "I need help." His voice came out small, weak, a child's voice in a room full of giants. One of the men, the biggest one, sitting at the bar like a king on a throne, turned to face him fully. "Wrong place, kid. This isn't a daycare." "I know what this place is." Lucas forced himself to stand straight. "I know who you are. Everyone does." "Then you know you should leave." "I can't. Not until someone helps me." Lucas took a breath. "My mom is in trouble. Bad trouble, and nobody will do anything." The big man, Marcus Stone Reeves, though Lucas didn't know his name yet, studied him with cold eyes. "What kind of trouble?" "Men are hurting her. At her work. In our building. They say things. They threaten her. One of them comes to our door at night and—" Lucas's voice cracked. "She cries every night. She thinks I don't know, but I do. And the police won't help because they're friends with the bad guys. And we don't have money for lawyers, and I didn't know who else to ask." The room was completely silent now. "So you came here," Stone said slowly, "to a biker bar, to ask criminals for help. You're the scariest people I know." Lucas met his eyes. "I need someone scarier than the monsters." Something flickered in Stone's expression. Something old and painful. "What's your name, kid?" "Lucas Thornton." "And your mom?" "Rebecca. She works at Morrison and Associates. The men there, especially Derek Morrison, they won't leave her alone. And our neighbor, Victor, he—" Lucas couldn't finish. Stone was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned to the bartender. "Get the kid a Coke." He stood up, even bigger than Lucas had thought, a mountain of muscle and menace, and crouched down to Lucas's level. "I'm going to ask you some questions. I need you to answer them honestly. Can you do that?" Lucas nodded. "Has anyone touched your mum, physically hurt her?" Victor grabbed her arm once, left a bruise. "And Derek, her boss, he cornered her in a parking garage. She got away, but barely. Did she report it?" "She reported everything. Nobody cares." Stone's jaw tightened. "Why do you think that is?" "Because Derek's family is rich and powerful. His brother-in-law is a cop. They own everybody." Lucas's hands clenched into fists. "It's not fair. She didn't do anything wrong. She just wanted to work and take care of me, and they won't leave her alone." Stone studied this child, this brave, desperate, furious child who had walked into a den of wolves to save his mother. "You know what you're asking, kid. You're asking dangerous men to get involved in your life. That doesn't always end well. I don't care. I just want my mom to be safe. I want her to stop crying." Lucas's eyes filled with tears he refused to let fall. "Please, I'll do anything. I'll clean your bar. I'll wash your motorcycles. I'll do whatever you want. Just protect my mom." Stone looked at this boy and saw himself, 40 years ago. Different city, same story. A mother being destroyed by men who thought power meant they could take whatever they wanted. Nobody had helped Stone's mother. She had died broken and afraid, while her son watched, helpless. He had promised himself then that if he ever had the chance to stop it from happening to someone else, he would take it. "Go home, Lucas." The boy's face crumpled. "But," I said, "go home. We need to look into some things, find out what we're dealing with." Stone put a hand on Lucas's shoulder. "You did good, kid. Coming here, asking for help. That took guts. Now let us handle it." "You'll help, really?" "I'll help." Stone's expression was granite. "And when I'm done, nobody's ever going to make your mother cry again." The investigation took 48 hours. Stone's brothers were thorough. They had contacts everywhere. Former cops, current employees, people who owed favors, and people who liked causing trouble for the powerful. The picture that emerged was worse than Lucas had described. Derek Morrison wasn't just harassing Rebecca. He had a pattern. 6 other women at the company had experienced the same treatment. 3 had quit. 1 had attempted suicide. 2 had signed NDAs in exchange for settlements. The company knew, the family knew, everyone knew, and everyone looked away. Victor Crane was worse. A background check revealed 2 restraining orders in other states, an arrest for assault that had been pleaded down to nothing. Rumors of worse things, things that had never been proven, victims who had never come forward. He was a predator, and he had chosen Rebecca as his next target. "What's the play?" Ghost asked. He was Stone's sergeant-at-arms, a quiet man with cold eyes and a talent for solving problems. "We show up. We make it clear that Rebecca Thornton is protected, and we do it without throwing a single punch." "Why not? These guys deserve worse." "Because Lucas asked us to protect his mom, not to go to war. Violence brings cops. Cops bring attention. Attention brings problems." Stone shook his head. "We do this smart. We expose them, not destroy them. Let the world see what they really are. And if they don't back off." Stone's smile was ice. "Then we stop being smart." Friday afternoon, 5 p.m., Morrison and Associates. The parking garage was emptying as employees headed home for the weekend. Rebecca Thornton walked to her car alone, keys clutched between her fingers like a weapon, eyes scanning every shadow. 6 months of fear had made her hyper-vigilant. 6 months of harassment had made her paranoid. She checked under her car in her back seat, all around her before unlocking the door. She didn't see Derek Morrison until he was 3 feet away. "Rebecca, working late?" Her blood turned to ice. "I was just leaving. We should talk about your future at the company." He stepped closer. "I've been very patient, Rebecca, very understanding. But my patience has limits. Mr. Morrison, I've made my position clear." "Your position?" He laughed. "You don't have a position. You have a job that I can take away with a phone call. You have a reputation I can destroy with a rumor. You have a son who goes to school 3 blocks from here." Rebecca stopped breathing. "Don't bring Lucas into this. I'm not bringing anyone into anything. I'm just explaining reality." Derek's smile made her skin crawl. "Monday, my office, 8 a.m. We're going to come to an understanding, and you're going to be very, very cooperative." He turned and walked away. Rebecca stood frozen, shaking, unable to move. Then she heard the engines. At first just a rumble, distant, then closer, louder, until the entire parking garage seemed to vibrate with the sound. Motorcycles, dozens of them, pouring in from every entrance. Derek stopped walking, turned. His face went pale. 50 Hell's Angels surrounded them, engines cutting off one by one. Men dismounting, forming a circle, saying nothing. Stone walked through the crowd and stopped in front of Derek Morrison. "Nice night. Who the hell are you? This is private property." "I know what this is. I know what you are too." Stone pulled out his phone, held it up. "I've got recordings, testimonies. 6 women willing to talk about what you've done to them over the years, including the one you just threatened 30 seconds ago." Derek's face went from pale to grey. That's inadmissible. You can't. I'm not a cop. I don't care about admissible." Stone stepped closer. "But you know who does care. Reporters. And there's one waiting outside right now, Diane Castillo from Channel 7. She's very interested in the story of a VP who harasses his employees while his family covers it up. You're bluffing. Try me." Stone smiled. or you can do the smart thing. Walk away right now, resign from the company tomorrow. Disappear from Rebecca Thornton's life forever. You can't make me. I'm not making you do anything. I'm giving you a choice. Door number 1, you walk away, and this story stays quiet. Door number 2, you don't, and by Monday morning, every news outlet in Detroit knows your name and your crimes. Derek looked around at the 50 men surrounding him, at the phones recording, at the woman he had tormented for 6 months, standing tall now, no longer afraid. "This isn't over," he hissed. "Yes, it is." Stone leaned in close. "And if you ever come near Rebecca or her son again, the next conversation we have won't be this friendly." Derek Morrison got in his car and drove away. He resigned the next morning. Victor Crane was handled differently. He came home that night to find 12 Hells Angels sitting in his living room. "What the—" "Sit down, Victor." Stone occupied the only empty chair. Around him, brothers filled every space, calm, patient, terrifying. "We know about the restraining orders. We know about the women you've hurt. We know about the notes you've been leaving for Rebecca Thornton." Stone pulled out a folder. "And now the police know too. Anonymous tip, evidence they can't ignore even if they wanted to." Victor's face went white. "I didn't save it. You're going to pack a bag. You're going to leave this building tonight, and you're never going to come back. You can't make me leave my own apartment. Your landlord has already started eviction proceedings. Turns out threatening other tenants violates your lease. Who knew?" Victor looked around wildly. "This is illegal. This is harassment. Call the cops." Stone smiled. "See how that goes." Victor didn't call the cops. He was gone by midnight. The next day, Rebecca Thornton woke up to silence. No pounding on her door. No notes slipped underneath. No fear, just peace. And a 9-year-old boy grinning at her across the breakfast table. "Mom, I think things are going to be okay now." Rebecca didn't know why he was so confident. Didn't know about the bar or the bikers or the 4 words that had changed everything. But she smiled anyway. For the first time in 6 months, she believed him. Rebecca discovered the truth 3 days later. She came home from work, a new job at a company that didn't tolerate harassment, to find Lucas sitting at the kitchen table with a man she had never seen before, a very large man, in a leather vest, covered in tattoos. Her heart stopped. "Lucas, step away from him. Now." "Mom, it's okay." "I said now." Lucas didn't move. Instead, he looked at the stranger with something like trust. "Mom, this is Stone. He's the one who helped us." Rebecca's mind raced. Helped? What help? She thought Derek had resigned because of the news investigation. She thought Victor had left because of the eviction. She looked at the man, at the patches on his vest, at the skull and wings and letters she recognized from news reports and neighborhood warnings. Hell's Angels. "Get out of my house." "Mom, Lucas, go to your room." "But now." Lucas looked at Stone, who nodded slightly. The boy left, dragging his feet, looking back over his shoulder. When they were alone, Rebecca grabbed the biggest knife from the kitchen drawer. "I don't know what you want, but you're going to leave. Right now." Stone didn't move, didn't flinch at the knife. "Your son came to me 3 days ago, walked into my bar and asked me to protect you." Rebecca felt the blood drain from her face. What? "He said you were being hurt, that men were threatening you and nobody would help. He asked me to make them stop." Stone's voice was calm, even. "So I did. You." Derek Morrison resigned because 50 of my brothers showed up in his parking garage with evidence of every woman he's ever harassed. He had a choice, walk away or become famous for all the wrong reasons. And Victor? Same choice, different context. He chose wisely. Rebecca's hand was shaking. The knife wavered. "Why? Why would you do this? You don't know us. I know your son. I know what it takes for a 9-year-old boy to walk into a place like mine and ask for help." Stone finally stood. He was even more imposing upright. "I know what it's like to watch your mother suffer while the world does nothing. I was Lucas once. Different city, different monsters, same helplessness. So this is charity? Pity? This is respect for a kid who did something I never had the guts to do." Stone moved toward the door. "I'm not asking for anything, not money, not favors, nothing. Your son asked for help and I gave it. That's the end of it. Wait. Stone stopped. Rebecca lowered the knife. Her eyes were wet. He really did that? Walked into a biker bar by himself? By himself, scared out of his mind but determined. Said he'd do anything, wash motorcycles, clean the bar, if someone would just protect his mom. Stone's voice softened slightly. You raised a brave kid, Miss Thornton. Brave and stupid, which is the best combination. Rebecca laughed despite herself. It came out half sob. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Stone hesitated. Just tell him you're proud of him. What he did took more courage than most adults have. He deserves to know that. He left without another word. Rebecca stood in her kitchen, knife still in hand, trying to process what had just happened. Her 9-year-old son had walked into a den of criminals and asked them to save her. And they had. The conversation with Lucas happened that night. Rebecca sat on his bed trying to find the right words. He looked so small against his pillows, so young, and yet he had done something so impossibly brave. Stone told me what you did. Lucas tensed. Are you mad? Rebecca struggled. I'm a lot of things. Scared, confused, amazed. She took his hand. Why didn't you tell me? Because you would have stopped me, and I had to do something. His eyes were fierce. I couldn't watch you cry anymore, Mom. I couldn't listen to Victor bang on our door. I couldn't see you come home from work looking like someone had broken you. Lucas, you always protect me. My whole life you've worked so hard to keep me safe. I just wanted to protect you back. His voice cracked. Was that wrong? Rebecca pulled him into her arms. No, baby, that wasn't wrong. That was the bravest thing anyone has ever done for me. Really? Really? She held him tight. But promise me, you'll never do anything like that again, if you had been hurt. I wasn't, though. Stone was nice. He listened. He helped. I know, but not everyone would have been like him. You got lucky. Maybe. Lucas pulled back and looked at her. Or maybe I found exactly who I was supposed to find. Rebecca didn't know what to say to that, so she just held her son and thanked whatever force had kept him safe. Over the following weeks, things changed. The new job was better. Rebecca's boss was a woman named Catherine who had survived her own harassment years ago. She had built a company where that would never happen. The apartment was peaceful. Victor's unit sat empty, and the landlord had promised to be more careful about future tenants. And Lucas was different, more confident, like he had proven something to himself and couldn't go back to who he was before. Stone came by once a week. At first Rebecca was wary, but he never asked for anything, never pressured. He just showed up, fixed things that were broken, taught Lucas about engines and tools, sat at the kitchen table drinking coffee and talking about nothing important. Why do you keep coming back? Rebecca asked him one evening. Lucas was in his room doing homework. Honestly, I don't know. Stone stared at his coffee. I told myself I was checking on the kid, making sure everything stayed stable, but that's not really it. Then what is it? I think. He paused. I think I'm trying to fix something I couldn't fix 40 years ago. My mother, the way she died, the fact that nobody helped her. What happened to her? Stone was quiet for a long time. My father happened. He was a mean drunk with fists like hammers. Beat her every night. I tried to stop him once. I was about Lucas's age. He put me in the hospital for a week. Rebecca's hand went to her mouth. When I got out, my mother was dead. He'd gone too far. Said it was an accident. The cops believed him. He was friends with half of them. Spent 18 months in prison for manslaughter. Got out early for good behavior. Stone, I'm so sorry. I found him 10 years later, made sure he never hurt anyone again. Stone's voice was flat. That's not something I'm proud of, but it's something I had to do. And helping you is something different, something clean. He looked up. Your son gave me a chance to be the person my mother needed. I'm grateful for that. Rebecca reached across the table and took his hand. You're not what I expected. Neither are you. 6 months after Lucas walked into the Iron Horse Bar, Stone made it official. Not marriage. Neither of them was ready for that, but something real, something permanent. He moved into their apartment, became a constant presence in their lives. The club was skeptical at first. Stone had always been alone. The idea of him playing house with a single mom and her kid seemed impossible, but they saw the change in him. The way he smiled now, the way he talked about Lucas, like he was his own son. "You've gone soft, brother," Ghost teased him one night. "Maybe." Stone watched Lucas across the room, showing off a model motorcycle he'd built to some of the brothers. "Or maybe I finally found something worth being soft for." The real test came 8 months in. Rebecca got a call from Lucas's school. There had been an incident. Lucas had been in a fight. She and Stone arrived together expecting the worst. But what they found was different. Lucas sat in the principal's office with a split lip and defiant eyes. Across from him, another boy, bigger, older, nursed a black eye. "Your son attacked Marcus without provocation," the principal said. "That's not true." Lucas's voice was steady. "He was bullying a kid named Tommy, pushing him, taking his lunch money. Nobody was doing anything. So I did." Stone looked at Lucas, at this boy who had inherited none of his blood, but all of his spirit. "Did he swing first?" "Yeah. I just made sure he didn't swing second." The principal sputtered about zero-tolerance policies and suspension. Rebecca apologized and promised to handle it. Stone said nothing until they were in the car. "You know violence isn't always the answer." "I know. You could have told a teacher, found an adult." "I tried. They didn't care." Lucas looked at him. "You taught me that sometimes you have to stand up, even when it's hard, even when you might get hurt. Was I wrong?" Stone thought about the bar, about 50 bikers in a parking garage, about a 9-year-old boy who had walked into danger to save his mother. "No," he said, "you weren't wrong. But next time try talking first. Fighting is a last resort, not a first option." "I did try talking." Marcus laughed at me. "Then you did everything right." Rebecca stared at them both. "Are you seriously praising him for fighting?" "I'm praising him for protecting someone who couldn't protect himself." Stone met her eyes. "That's what good men do. That's what he did for you. That's who he is." Rebecca wanted to argue, but she thought about 6 months ago, about her son walking into a biker bar because he couldn't stand to see her suffer. "Fine," she said, "but we're still having a talk about alternatives to violence?" "Fair," Lucas grinned. Epilogue. 3 years later. Lucas Thornton was 12 years old. He stood in front of his 8th grade class, giving a presentation on someone who inspires me. "Most people would pick a famous person," he said, "a president or an athlete or a scientist, but I picked someone nobody's heard of. His name is Marcus Reeves. Most people call him Stone." He clicked to a photo on the screen. Stone at a barbecue, laughing at something off camera. 3 years ago, my mom was in trouble. Bad people were hurting her, and nobody would help. The police didn't care. We couldn't afford lawyers. It felt like the whole world was against us. The classroom was silent. I was 9 years old, and I did something crazy. I walked into a place where I definitely shouldn't have been and asked a stranger for help. That stranger was Stone. He clicked to another photo. This one showed Stone, Rebecca, and Lucas at Lucas's 11th birthday party, a family. He didn't have to help us. He had no reason to care about some random kid and his mom, but he did care. He helped, and he taught me something important. Lucas looked at his classmates. "He taught me that heroes don't always look like heroes. That courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about being afraid and acting anyway. And that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them." He paused. "Stone showed up, for me and my mom, and he never stopped. He's been my stepfather for 2 years now. He taught me to fix engines, to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves, and to never let anyone tell me that I'm too small or too young to make a difference." Lucas clicked to the final slide. A quote, "Protect my mom." Those were the 4 words I said to him that first day. 4 words that changed my life. He smiled. 4 words that proved that sometimes the scariest people are the ones with the biggest hearts. The class erupted in applause. In the back of the room, having snuck in late, Stone wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. Rebecca leaned against him. "You okay?" "Yeah." His voice was rough. "Just allergies." "Sure." She kissed his cheek. "Allergies. They watched their son accept congratulations from his classmates. This boy who had walked into a biker bar, who had asked for help when no one else would listen, who had brought them all together. 3 years ago, Lucas had asked a stranger to protect his mum. Now that stranger was family, and they were all finally home. The end.